Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Arc Insights, the official business podcast channel of Arc Spaces. So tonight we have Mr. Elliot Barratt over here, CEO and founder of Elliot James Interiors, right? So today we are going to talk about a very interesting yet controversial topic revolving around the state of offices, right? So Elliot, without myself spoiling too much about you, I believe you have also won a few awards yourself, right? So why not let's kick off the show by introducing yourself and your company to the audience.
Thank you. Yes, as you said, my name's Elliot Barratt, and I'm the founder and CEO of Elliot James Interiors. We are a luxury boutique interior design studio based here in Singapore. We've got offices in the UK as well, and we focus on high-end luxury residential, hospitality, and corporate office space.
Nice.
So as you pointed out, we were fortunate enough to recently win an award, which is at the International Design and Architectural Awards, also known as the IDAs in London, and we won that for Best Interior Design Scheme Asia Pacific here for a project we did at South Beach Residence. So yeah, really, really proud of that. So yeah, that's our latest news at the moment. So.
Sounds prestigious. All right. That's nice to hear, definitely. So just want to let you know that I've also personally seen your portfolio in your website actually. So they all look really impressive to me, especially the executive offices that you did at Cecil Street and Beach Road area, right? So they're truly magnificent designs, right? And the one at Cecil Street, to me, it seems like it has really evoked quite a similar vibe to our center, I feel. So when I look at your office design work in general, right, it seems rather obvious that they are designed to serve a purpose that is broader than just providing the essentials, right? So which is similar to this center at OMB, where your HQ is based, right? So from the photos in the website, I can see so much thought and detail into every nook and cranny of the space as well, right? So now, as compared to conventional office spaces as we know it, they tend to provide simply the basics, maybe a little more at times, but obviously they are also a lot cheaper too, right? And I want to ask your opinion as a business owner on what the future of such essential workspaces is going to be when we know for certain that more people are going to continue to work remotely, right? So the topic of the day is the office as we know it, such as conventional office spaces full of cubicles, dead already?
I think it's a very loaded and controversial question. But I think today, I think we've given people the freedom to work in a completely different way than they ever have before.
Absolutely.
And I don't think you can ask those people to go back to what they had before. So I think it's going to be a very interesting time going forward on how the office space and the office environment changes. I think we've asked of our staff and everyone to work from home on a basis where they can manage their own time, they can manage where they're working from, whether it's next to the pool or whether it's from a dining table or from their bedroom. And then I think in terms of asking them to go back to a cubicle where they're clocking in from 9 to 5, I don't think you can do that anymore. So in a kind of short summary, I would say the idea of an office cubicle environment, I think is past its peak. I think it's dead. Yes.
All right, it's good to know. Now, we ourselves as a workspace solutions provider, we know our reasons why there is still a need for a physical workspace. Definitely not something like a conventional office, right? But perhaps professionals who might not be concerned about interiors might still be thinking about having a physical workspace outside of my home, might still incur more costs than benefits, right? So, and naturally, the first group of people who would be most familiar about the importance of physical workspace, I believe, would be professionals like you, right?
Yes.
So, to me, I think there's like lighting, atmosphere, furniture. I don't know. I think you might have so much more to tell me about the most important elements of a workspace that can make a huge difference. compared to working virtually all the time, right? So according to you as an interior architect, right, and as an individual, you might want to share with us on why do you think there is still a need for a physical workspace, and what are the work activities a physical workspace can facilitate better than remote working?
Absolutely. I think to start with, I think we've been asked to. People are working from home out of necessity, not necessarily because they want to. I think they want something different, and I think it's shown them that. But I don't necessarily think going forward that's what people want long term. I think you end up working longer hours. You whilst it may seem like more comfortable environment, the environment may be more comfortable, but the actual workstation itself is probably less comfortable because it's not set up correctly for your needs as a business. And in terms of what is needed and why people might feel that need to come back to an office environment is, I think, a level of separation. I think is being able to separate business and professionalism from work, home life, family time, leisure. And I think at the moment, I think people are working so hard to catch up on the effects of COVID that everyone's working at this work rate that is unsustainable. I think they continue to do it. There's lots of cases of burnout and things like that. So I think to have that level of separation where people can come to a designated environment and increase their productivity whilst there and then separate themselves, I think there's still a huge need for that. On a sort of personal level and talking about my business, we're a creative industry, so we work better on a collaborative basis. So when we're all in one room and we're sharing ideas and we're talking about experiences and things we've seen, it creates a much more productive and creative environment than if we're trying to do that over a computer screen from our homes. I think we all need to be inspired by our environment as well, and whether that's kind of landscapes we're overlooking or whether that's kind of the immediate environment, those things need to inspire us, and I think you get that from an office space.
Yeah, I think spaces whereby it's going to be more creative in terms of the interior will help the employers and the employees to perform better in a sense as well, right?
I absolutely. I think there is also that idea of feeling more professional as well. I think when you wake up in the morning and you get dressed for work and you leave the home, you have that kind of that travel time to be able to sort of mentally prepare yourself for the work you're going to do for the day ahead. And then you get into a designated professional environment. So you're meeting like-minded people and you're talking about business and you're focusing on your business, whatever that is. And I think there's a need for that. I think trying to do that from, whether or not you like to work in your pajamas or whether or not you still put on a shirt and tie, that's for each individual to decide. But I think it's much easier to mentally prepare yourself to be professional by leaving the home and coming to a working environment.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so do you also see that people who are working in like conventional offices before are also at the same time dreading to come back to the office, even though that they feel that there is a need to? I mean, personally, I have my siblings and friends complaining about it, right? I know that their office, although it's located at a prime location, but it is more or less still a conventional cube farm, to be honest, right? So it seems like to me, there are still a group of people thinking that the office has always been a rather dreadful place, right? I can only think of reasons after comparing this center to a typical one. So maybe some of the reasons could be the space is just too uninspiring, or probably that contributes to a mundane work routine, which is quite dreadful, right? So with that being said, personally, I believe that the new physical workspace of the new normal has to be something that has to provide value for not just the employer, but the employees themselves, right? So regardless of it being like a co-working space or a bespoke office suite, right? One of the most important areas to start from, I believe, personally, is still the design and the layout of it. Because I think this is a prerequisite for more important factors that can affect productivity, morale, so on and so forth, right? So I'm pretty sure you as an interior architect, right, you're very clear on what the trends of the space design will be, right? So could you share with us what are some of the key design factors of the new physical workspace that can bring value to the company as well as their employees?
Absolutely. I think we as designers always look at an office is a physical representation of a brand, of a business. So it says a lot about that business, its core values and its aspirations as well. So I think for those offices where people are dreading going back to work, and it's a very depressing, kind of dated environment, I think it is kind of representation of where that business is in its current state. And I think those businesses that are waking up and realizing, actually, if I want to get the most out of my employees, it's about their well-being, and then looking after my staff means that they will be happy, they will be motivated, and in return they'll be more productive, and our business will be more successful. And I think that's a sort of very clear pathway to the success of a business. So I think those people that are sort of dreading going back to the office, and what maybe it's also as well, like, I think they've seen a glimpse of freedom in a working capacity. I think they're able to manage their own time, and they manage their own environment, and all of a sudden there's this dread of being pushed back into this kind of box, into this rat race, into this robotic kind of scenario. And I think going forward we need to give more options for the working environment. I think this is always great to reference because we're sitting right here, but in terms of, you can have your productive area, you can have your kind of engine room, which is the way we think about it. We have our computer screens, and we have when we're working on certain designs, we need to be very, very serious and focused about that. And then when we need to be more creative and collaborative, we come out to these spaces where we can get a different perspective. We can work from a high table, we can work from a low table, we can sit on the sofa with our laptops on our lap, we can plug into a larger monitor, and it just allows you to have a different perspective on a subject. Sometimes you see people getting very, very stressed, and they're locked into the screen and they can't get out of this mood. Sometimes just physically removing yourself and going sitting somewhere far more pleasant that has greenery and planting and softer lighting and maybe ambient music just allows you to chill out. And I think that's very, very important. I think there's big companies like Google, Facebook, they've been doing it for years. You know, people saw the table tennis table as a gimmick, but when you're playing table tennis, you have to be so in the moment of playing table tennis. It doesn't allow you to think about anything else. So actually, for a split second, allows you to release your mental state from being stuck in this very, very stressful environment. And that's what it's for. And I think now with the whole idea that you can work in a very, very relaxed environment, be in your home, there should be more of a transition back to the workplace. If you want people to spend large amounts of time in the office environment, you need to allow them spaces to relax and to kick back and to maybe watch TV or anything, but also give them the control over their own productivity and their own time, rather than feeling like they are just a cog in a wheel.
I think you are spot on especially on one of the points that you mentioned earlier about the design of the space, how the layout, and how much the employer actually invest into all these, right? Because I think I was from one of the cube farms before, right? And I can totally relate on in terms of comparing the design and whatever else they actually invested into that space. I can really sense comparing that to how they treat their employees as well. It's definitely not an inspiring place to work in. Things like that. I can't really be creative in that place, but yeah, definitely something around this magnitude, right? I think it really makes more sense for me to work in some place like this, to be more productive, creative as well.
I think as well. I think what I love about this space and this environment as well, especially as a business, we in interior design, especially in luxury interior design, we're selling a dream, we're selling a lifestyle, and therefore the place that we interact with clients has to reflect that as well. So when they go to our website, we have a very polished website. When they speak to us on the phone or they get an email reply from us, it's all done in a particular way that's extremely polished and professional. And so then when they come to the physical meeting, the expectation has already been built up. So when they meet us, it then needs to reflect and continue that whole brand experience, that whole sort of lifestyle aspirational experience. And we find coming here, when you're greeted with fantastic, happy staff, front of house staff, that can take you and bring you a coffee, and you sit in this nicely designed environment with ambient music overlooking one of the most impressive vistas in the world. It continues that whole dream. And I know that not every office environment is fortunate enough to have a backdrop like this. Absolutely. But at the same time, there's subtleties. It can be just taking care of lighting and soft lighting and creating a different ambience. Maybe it is in certain areas there's the subtle sound of some ambient music or something that just allows somebody to mentally escape from the sterile and sort of depressing environment that they might have. And I don't think it requires large sums of money. I don't think it needs complete overhauls, but it's more of a mental shift. I think it's a case of saying, okay, we appreciate that our staff are no longer want to sit here from morning until night, and are gonna accept that it's not possible anymore. I think that they need to change, and the working environment needs to change.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, definitely. So, okay, I'm pretty sure like a huge part of interior design, especially to you, is like what you mentioned earlier a lot, is about personalization and uniqueness as well. So I'm also pretty sure your clients would like to personalize their workspaces as much as they can afford to, right? So I've also seen like beautiful workspaces that look good, but it's a tad too fun. Some are a tad too productive in a sense as well. So how do you sort of strategically conceptualize your design work when there is such a requirement to balance out work and fun?
What we tend to do is we tend to look at the overall space, overall environment, look at the tasks that need to be performed, and then zone those. So if there's a particular area that needs to be heightened productivity, we'll make sure that it's a little bit simpler than everywhere else. There's not too many distractions. And then if there's an area where we want people to kind of relax and unwind, then we make that space a little bit more fun, a little bit more creative, so that you have this divide. And I had an interesting story or interesting conversation with a business owner, and we were discussing about where his meeting room would go. And he said, he had an amazing view like this. And he said, I want to make sure that when we're employing or when we're interviewing, that the candidates always sit window facing in. He said, because my years of experience, whenever I sit them on the other side of the table, I lose them after 2 minutes because they're too busy looking out the window. So it's always interesting to see how the effects an environment can have on somebody without even realizing. So where you position things in terms of what you want to get out of your staff is very, very important. If you want productivity, maybe you don't stick them in front of an amazing view, or don't put them where there's a moving screen or TV, that kind of thing. So I think it just requires a little bit of thought in terms of what you want to get from the staff and what you want to get from that space, and making sure they both align. Right.
I'm sure when you're in the drawing room, you're at the right time for the right things to do, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
That iconic building out there could be quite distracting.
Absolutely. It is right now.
But it's so good for relaxation, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh. I think so. I think this view, and again, without keep referring to Arcc spaces, this is when you're having a very stressful day and you need to just escape. Obviously, where you've got the coastline and you've got all the ships that are moving, you can sit here for a while and just lose yourself. And it's not a case of people running away from their duties or from their work. It's just that little bit of time that allows them to mentally escape from the stresses that they're under at that point, to refocus, recharge, and then go back at it with a stronger attitude. So yeah,
that's the power of sceneries.
Absolutely.
Okay, so last question over here. Do you see any trends in home office design as well?
Yes, I think so. We get asked a lot about trends for home offices and what people are asking for. I think a lot of people are including a lot more greenery in their home, planting and things like that, because obviously it's very good for you. height adjustable desks as well. People want to work from different levels, and I think that's very important. I think if you're going to work from home, you need to be able to, at various times of the day, change up your kind of your ergonomic position as well. I think if you're sitting down and you're hunched over, and obviously it's going to lead to back problems and things like that. So I think being able to change your desk height and everything is very important. And color. I think you made a point earlier on about environments being too fun and things like that. But I think what we're trying to encourage is, in terms of home offices, change up the colours of your walls. They don't all have to be the same. You can change different tones on different walls, just so it gives you a slight different perspective, a slight different feeling when you're facing one wall versus the other. We also try to encourage people to place desks away from the walls. I think anyone that's sitting at a desk that's up against the wall, that faces a wall, is can get very very tiring and very depressing as well. So whereas if you're sitting in the middle of the room, you're surrounded by space, you've got window views, you've got larger room, that all helps your mental state when working from home. So,
right. Yeah. So are you like a natural light person?
Yes, I actually like artificial light. I try to have as many lamps on as possible, just because I like soft lighting. So I'll have like a desk lamp. I'll have maybe a corner lamp for ambience and things like that. And I think that's important. But I think you also need to have throughout the day always when working during the day, you have to have good natural light, and also ventilation as well. Make sure you've got plenty of fresh air.
Interesting to hear about the artificial lights, though.
Yeah. I think I don't know why. I think I've always been taken with ambient lighting. I think it creates a mood and creates a sort of a sort of mental state, which I find far more relaxing. I just find it a nicer environment to work in. My pet hate is halogen light bulbs and big corporate lighting.
Yeah, so tired nowadays. I definitely understand that. Okay, so there you have it from Elliot Barratt over here. The future of offices, conventional and also physical workspace like this, right? So hope you enjoyed this episode. And for now, stay safe, stay positive. Hope to see you on the next episode as well, right? Take care and goodbye.